The details of this lesson is in the text. I'm going to hand you over to my friends who are going to analyze the text and provide you deeper insights in a bite-sized and interesting way.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are ditching the detective hats and lacing up our sneakers. We're diving into the world of dance fitness.
That's right. We're uncovering the secrets behind those super high energy, easy to follow dance fitness classes. You know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, those classes where I'm always amazed by how the instructor can lead a room full of people through all these complex moves, seemingly without any effort.
Right. They move so effortlessly and gracefully.
It's like they have this secret language, you know?
Well, they kind of do. And that's where the CEAT technique comes into play. This was developed by Ravi Sandhu, a dance fitness trainer over in London. And it's a framework that breaks down the art of instructing into 4 clear steps: cue, escalate, adapt, and transition.
Okay, I'm already intrigued. So let's unpack this CEAT acronym a little bit, starting with that C for cue.
Cueing is all about setting those participants up for success. It's kind of like you're giving them a sneak peek into the instructor's brain, so they know what's coming up next and can move confidently. That makes total sense. It's those awkward, wait, what are we doing now? Moments that can really throw you off in a dance fitness class.
Exactly. And that's where those clear cues come in. So instructors will typically use a combination of verbal cues, like 4 grapevines to the right, and visual cues to signal those upcoming moves and intensity levels.
So it's not just about shouting out the steps. There's a visual element to it, too.
Absolutely. So, for example, if we're doing grapevines to the right, the instructor might point their right hand in that direction while saying, 4 grapevines, starting right.
I see. So it's like a secret language almost, guiding the participants with a combo of words and gestures. Clever.
It is. And this is particularly helpful for newcomers who might not be familiar with all the moves. And speaking of newcomers, we got to talk about those intensity levels. Instructors also use cues to signal those too, right?
Right. Because you definitely don't want to jump into a level 4 full out heart pounding routine right from the get-go. Definitely not. So think of it like a staircase. The instructor might start with a verbal cue, like level 1, just feet. This indicates a low-intensity warm-up.
Okay, so just getting those feet moving. What happens next?
Then they might say level 2, feet and bring in the hands, signaling a gradual increase in effort.
Got it. So slowly layering on that intensity.
Exactly. As the music builds, they might shout, level 3, give me a little bounce. And finally, level 4, give me all you got. For the most intense part of the sequence.
Whoa, that's like building a musical crescendo with your body. I love how those verbal cues really paint a picture of the energy level.
It's all about creating that shared understanding and a sense of flow in the class.
This is fascinating. It's making me want to sign up for a dance fitness class right now.
You should. But first, let's continue our deep dive into the CEAT technique. Now that we've got those cues in place and everyone is on the same page, it's time to
turn up the heat. Bring on the E, which stands for. Here's where the real fun begins, right?
Yeah.
It's like taking those basic moves we learned during the cueing stage and just injecting them with a shot of adrenaline.
You got it. But it's not about throwing in completely new moves. It's just about maximizing the impact of what's already happening. Think of it like turning up the volume on a song. You're not changing the melody, you're just making it more powerful.
So we're building on that foundation we established with the cues. That's really quite brilliant.
It is. And you know what's really cool is as participants become more familiar with the sequence, they can kind of anticipate when the escalation is coming, usually when the music's chorus hits. And this leads to a shared feeling of exhilaration when everyone pushes their limits together.
Ooh. I can imagine the energy in the room is just electric when that happens. Yeah. Everyone feeding off each other's energy, moving in sync. But what about those who might not be ready for the full-on escalation? Maybe they're new to the class or haven't quite mastered the basic moves yet.
That's a great point. And it brings us to the next crucial step in the CEAT technique. A for adapt. This is where the instructor's role as a guide and observer really shines.
Okay, let's dive into adapt. Tell me more about how instructors adjust the exercises to meet the needs of different participants.
Well, they're constantly scanning the room, looking for anyone who might be struggling with the escalation, and reminding them that it's totally okay to modify the move. For example, if the escalated move is a full jumping jack, the instructor might suggest a half jack modification.
So it's about offering variations that allow everyone to participate at their own comfort level, even during those high energy moments. Love
Yeah,
that.
exactly. The instructor might even dial back their own intensity to guide those who need that extra support. It's all about creating an environment where everyone feels successful, even if they're not, like performing the most challenging variation of the exercise. Think of the instructor like a conductor in an orchestra, guiding each section through those different levels of intensity to create this harmonious whole.
It's such a beautiful analogy. Everyone playing their part, contributing to the overall energy and flow.
And speaking of flow, that brings us to our next step.
The final piece of the CEAT puzzle. T's for transition. I'm guessing this is all about creating a seamless flow between those escalated moves, right?
You nailed it. Transition is the art of moving from one exercise to the next without, like, jarring the participants or disrupting the rhythm of the class.
So it's not just about what you do, but how you do it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a dancer needs to think about their transitions between poses to create a graceful performance, right?
Precisely. A rookie mistake is to make sudden, unexpected changes which can throw participants off balance and disrupt the flow. A skilled instructor, on the other hand, will transition thoughtfully using clear cues to signal the upcoming shift.
So how do they do that? What are some specific techniques that instructors use to ensure smooth transitions?
One helpful tip is to, relax the hands while continuing the previous move at a lower intensity level. This signals a return to level 1 and prepares the participants for the upcoming cue for the next move.
Ah, so it's like a mini reset button, giving everyone a moment to breathe and prepare for what's next.
It's subtle, but it's powerful. And if an instructor ever feels like the transition is becoming awkward, there's a simple solution: the holding step. It's essentially a march on the spot that brings everyone back to a calm level.
I love that. It's like a secret weapon for instructors to maintain that seamless flow. But doesn't it also give them a moment to gather their thoughts and plan that next sequence?
Exactly. It's a win-win for both the instructor and the participants.
Wow, this is all so insightful. We've covered a lot of ground already breaking down those first 3 stages of the CEAT technique: cue, escalate, and adapt. It's amazing how much thought and strategy goes into structuring these workouts to make them both enjoyable and effective.
It really is. But we're not done yet. We still need to explore that final stage transition in more depth.
You're right. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back to uncover the secrets of smooth and effective transitions in dance fitness classes.
And we're back, ready to jump right back into those smooth transitions in the CEAT technique.
Yes, we were talking about how those transitions are so key to keeping the energy up and the flow going in a dance fitness class.
Right.
But I'm really curious to learn more about how they actually do it. Like, what are the specific techniques instructors use to make those transitions feel so effortless?
So, one technique is almost like a nonverbal heads up. The instructor, they'll keep the current move going, but they'll subtly lower the intensity level and kind of relax their hands.
Ah, I see, I see. So it's like a visual cue
Yeah.
that something new is coming up, but without bringing everything to a screeching halt.
Exactly. It signals a shift back to that baseline, that level 1 energy we talked about, and prepares the participants for the next verbal cue.
That's so smart. It's like a little gentle nudge in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens if an instructor feels like they need a little more time to set up that next sequence? Or maybe they can sense the energy in the room is getting a bit, out of sync.
That's where that trusty holding step comes in. Remember we talked about that earlier?
Yes.
Yes.
It's like a magic reset button for those transitions.
Exactly. The instructor will simply have everyone march in place for a few beats. It's a really simple move that anyone can do, and it gives everyone, a moment to regroup both physically and mentally.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
The participants get a little mini break, and then the instructor gets a chance to refocus and ensure that next transition is going to be smooth. It's like a little pause that refreshes.
It is. It's a great example of how the CEAT technique, blends structure and spontaneity. There's a clear framework in place, but there's also room for the instructor to adapt and respond to the energy of the class in the moment.
This is making me think back to some of my own experiences in those dance fitness classes.
Mm-hmm.
I used to get so frustrated when I felt lost or confused during those transitions. It was like my brain couldn't keep up with my body.
Yeah, no, it's a common experience, especially for beginners. But, that's the beauty of the CEAT technique. It removes that element of surprise and replaces it with a sense of predictability and flow. And, when you know what to expect, you can kind of relax into the movements and actually enjoy the experience.
That's so true. And when you're not so worried about, oh my gosh, what's coming next, you can really focus on having fun and connecting with the music.
Absolutely. And that sense of enjoyment and accomplishment, that's what keeps people coming back for more.
this entire CEAT technique, it really is like a recipe for an amazing dance fitness class. It's so well thought out and covers every aspect, from like setting the stage with those clear cues to navigating the transition so seamlessly. It's like, it really is like a secret language that unlocks a whole new level of enjoyment, not just for the participants, but for the instructor too, right?
Yeah. It is. And what's even more impressive is that the principles of CEAT can be applied to a wide variety of dance styles and fitness levels. Whether it's, a super high energy Zumba class or a more relaxed bar workout, the core elements, the cueing, the escalating, the adapting, and the transitioning, they remain the same.
So it's not just about like memorizing a specific set of steps or routines. It's about understanding those underlying principles that make a dance fitness class effective and engaging.
Exactly. It's about treating that magical combination of structure and freedom, clear communication, and, creative expression.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of like our exploration of those 4 key steps of the CEAT technique. We've covered a lot of ground, from those initial cues that really set the stage to those smooth transitions that keep the energy flowing. It's been fascinating to peek behind the curtain and kind of understand the thought process and the strategy that goes into creating these dynamic workouts.
It has. But our deep dive isn't over yet. Now that we've got a good grasp on, the mechanics of the CEAT technique, let's shift gears a bit and explore that bigger picture we were talking about earlier.
Okay, I'm ready to expand my horizons.
Yeah.
What's next on the agenda?
So we've really broken down this CEAT technique and how it creates that magic in a dance fitness class.
We have.
But you were talking about a bigger picture, right?
Right.
What did you mean by that?
Well, when you really think about it, the CEAT technique, it's basically like a framework for effective communication and gradual progression and, adaptation.
Okay.
These are like principles that can be applied way beyond the dance studio.
Okay, now my mind is blown. I honestly never thought about it that way, but it makes total sense when you explain it like that.
Right.
So you're saying we can actually use this CEAT technique in other areas of our lives?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like imagine you're trying to learn a new language.
Okay.
You could totally use the CEAT technique to break down that whole learning process into those manageable chunks.
Right. Like you could cue yourself with flashcards and stuff,
Okay.
and then escalate that difficulty level as you progress.
Right.
Adapt your study methods, based on your strengths and weaknesses, and then smoothly transition between those different grammar concepts.
Wow, it's like having a personalized roadmap almost for language learning.
It is.
I bet those same principles could apply to other skills too, right?
Totally.
Like playing a musical instrument or even learning to code.
Absolutely. It's really about breaking down those complex tasks into smaller, more manageable steps.
Yeah.
And creating a structure that supports your learning journey. And it's not even just about individual skills.
Okay, now you've really got me intrigued. Tell me more.
Think about leading a team project at work, right?
Okay.
You can use that CEAT technique to set your team up for success. So you can cue them with those clear expectations and deadlines. You can escalate their responsibilities as they gain experience, adapt your leadership style based on the individual needs of your team members, and then make sure there are those smooth transitions between those different phases of the project.
This is incredible. It's like the CEAT technique is this secret weapon for effective leadership and teamwork.
It is.
It's about creating that sense of clarity and momentum and that shared purpose.
You got it. And it all boils down to those 4 core principles, right? That cue, escalate, adapt, and transition.
Oh, right.
Whether you're on the dance floor or, like you said, in the boardroom, those principles can help you achieve your goals with, confidence and grace.
This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive. We started off with a deep dive into dance fitness and ended up uncovering this powerful framework that we can apply to so many different aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
It has been. And that brings us to our final thought for you all today.
Ooh, I love these.
So the next time you find yourself facing a challenge, whether it's learning a new skill or tackling one of those complex projects, just remember that CEAT technique.
Okay.
It might just be the key to unlocking your full potential.
Such a great takeaway. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey of discovery. We'll catch you all next time for another fascinating deep dive.
Hey, it's Ravi again. Weren't my friends fantastic? I hope you found the way they explain things really interesting, and please do continue on with the course.